Oh, but I will say this. I had no problem with the majority draw, and I would not have had a problem if Roach had been.
Gervonta Tank Davis was supposed to make a statement. He was supposed to dominate, remind the world why he's the face of boxing. But what happened next was nothing short of shocking. Lamont Roach Jr., a massive underdog, walked into the Barclays Center and nearly pulled off the biggest upset of the year. Tank, known for his explosive power and pinpoint accuracy, looked passive, hesitant, and frankly, just didn't seem like himself. The question now is, did Tank really win this fight, or was he exposed for all the boxing world to see? And Floyd Mayweather, his former mentor and promoter, didn't hold back. His reaction? Brutal. Let's break it all down. What happened in that ring, how Floyd reacted, and why this fight might just change everything for Tank's future. Before we dive into the specifics of the fight, let's take a moment to set the stage. Tank Davis has been the poster child of boxing's new generation. A fierce knockout artist, he built a reputation on demolishing opponents with precision. He became the young fighter to watch, the one who could finish a fight with a single punch. Tank's power was his signature, and his performances had been so dominant that his reputation was almost untouchable. No one in the boxing world doubted his ability to beat almost anyone in the ring. On the other hand, Lamont Roach Jr. wasn't someone many people were talking about. He was an underdog, someone few expected to cause any real problems for Tank. Roach's career had been more about surviving in the ring than about making waves. He was talented, yes, but he wasn't viewed as a serious threat to a fighter like Tank Davis. But Lamont Roach Jr. was determined. He walked into that ring ready to prove everyone wrong, ready to show the world he was more than just a name on a fight card. From the very first round, it became clear that Roach was not just there to survive, he was there to win. Tank, who was usually known for taking his time in the first few rounds, for studying his opponent and setting up his knockout shots, seemed off. He was hesitant. He didn't seem like the aggressive, relentless fighter we had all seen in his previous bouts. Roach, on the other hand, came out with a fire in his eyes. He threw combinations and pressed Tank from every angle, outworking him at almost every turn. It wasn't just that Roach was landing punches, he was landing clean, effective punches. And Tank, he looked uncomfortable, unable to find his rhythm. His power shots, normally enough to end a fight, didn't seem to have the same impact on Roach. Throughout the fight, Tank's hesitance was evident. He didn't seem able to break through Roach's defenses. Roach wasn't backing down, and he wasn't giving Tank the chance to explode with his knockout power. It was an unusual sight for anyone who had seen Tank fight before. His punches, although still powerful, weren't landing with the same precision. Roach absorbed Tank's best shots, and instead of falling back, he came forward, landing clean counters and landing more punches than Tank in several rounds. This wasn't just a fight, it was a test of Tank's character. Could he handle someone who wasn't intimidated by his reputation, someone who was willing to push the action? And for the first time in his career, it seemed Tank couldn't answer that question the way everyone expected. Then came the 9th round, a moment that would prove to be the most controversial of the entire fight. Lamont Roach Jr. landed a sharp jab, and in the chaos that followed, Tank Davis took a knee. This wasn't just a moment of Tank confusion or fatigue. It was a clear response to being hit, a response that had everyone in the arena talking. It was strange. The rules of boxing are clear. When a fighter takes a knee after a punch lands, it's considered a knockdown. Tank, clearly shaken, dropped to one knee, and the crowd instantly erupted. The question was, would the referee rule it a knockdown? The answer, to the shock of many, was no. Instead of counting, the referee allowed Tank to walk back to his corner, where his team quickly wiped his face down. The boxing world was left in disbelief. How could this happen? Why wasn't Tank given a count like any other fighter would have been in that situation? And to make matters worse, Tank later claimed that the reason he took a knee wasn't because of the punch itself, but because grease from his hair had seeped into his eyes, burning them. It was an excuse few took seriously. Fans and analysts alike questioned Tank's explanation, finding it hard to believe that a small amount of grease could cause a fighter to take a knee in the middle of a fight. The whole situation felt odd. It raised suspicions that Tank might have been trying to avoid what could have been a legitimate knockdown. The aftermath of the fight only added fuel to the fire. Lamont Roach Jr. was devastated. As the decision was announced, Roach knew he had done enough to win the fight. He had landed more punches, more clean shots, and had controlled the tempo of the fight for much of the night. The draw decision felt like a robbery to him. He didn't lash out, didn't accuse anyone of cheating, but his frustration was clear. He made it known that had the 9th-round knockdown been ruled correctly, he would have won the fight. His words were measured but firm. He didn't rely on the decision to validate his performance. He knew that the fans saw what happened, and in boxing, perception is everything. Roach had made his name that night, and even if the judges didn't see it, the public did. But the most biting reaction came from someone who was once Tank's biggest supporter, Floyd Mayweather. Floyd had been the one to bring Tank into the limelight, to promote him as the next big thing in boxing. They had a strong bond, and Floyd had been Tank's mentor, his promoter, his guide in the boxing world. But the rift between them had been growing for years. Tank had broken away from Mayweather Promotions, and ever since, Floyd had taken subtle jabs at his former protege. This fight gave Floyd all the ammunition he needed. Behind the scenes, Floyd reportedly told people that Tank had looked soft and uninspired in the ring. He didn't do enough to win, and Floyd didn't hold back. There were even rumors that Floyd privately admitted that if he had been in the ring that night, he would have walked away disgusted with the decision. Floyd had been waiting for a moment like this, a moment when Tank's flaws would be exposed in front of the entire boxing world. Tank may have escaped with a technical draw, but the performance left a lot to be desired. Floyd didn't need to keep questioning Tank's discipline and skills anymore. The fight had answered those questions for him. Tank's reputation had taken a hit, and Floyd wasn't going to let anyone forget it. The feud between Tank and Floyd wasn't just about boxing anymore. The personal tensions between them had boiled over. It wasn't just about disagreements over promotional deals or business. Floyd had publicly supported Tank for years, but Tank's independence had created tension. Tank had become his own brand, and that had to be hard for Floyd to swallow. But there was more to it. Tank had publicly exposed Floyd's daughter for messaging him on Snapchat, reigniting old family drama. That was a low blow. Floyd, a proud father, must have felt humiliated. But this wasn't just about business. This was personal. The fight itself was a wake-up call for Tank Davis. He could no longer hide behind his knockout power and reputation. He had been exposed, and now the world was questioning whether he was as good as he said he was. Floyd wasn't the only one who noticed. Fans, analysts, and other fighters all began to speak out. Some still supported Tank, but many began to doubt his ability to reach the heights he once promised. What happened to the fighter who could knock anyone out? What happened to the fearsome Tank Davis? Was it all just a facade? For Tank, the road ahead isn't easy. He needs to bounce back to prove that this fight was a fluke and not the start of a downward spiral. A rematch with Roach seems inevitable. Tank can't let this performance be his legacy. He needs to redeem himself, and the only way to do that is by facing Roach again and showing that he can do better. But the pressure on him is immense. He's no longer the undefeated champion with an untarnished reputation. Now he's the fighter who couldn't finish an underdog, the fighter who took a knee when things got tough. Can he reclaim his spot at the top? Or will this fight be the beginning of the end for Tank Davis? This isn't just about boxing anymore. This is about Tank's future, his legacy, and his ability to overcome adversity. He's been knocked down in the ring, and now he's been knocked down in the court of public opinion. The question is, will he rise again, or is this the beginning of a new chapter in Tank Davis' career, one that sees him struggling to regain his former glory? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure. This fight changed everything for Tank Davis. And now he has to prove that it won't define him. Can Tank bounce back stronger, or has the damage been done? This is a fight he can't afford to lose, and the world will be watching closely to see what happens next.